Greyhound got its start over 57 years ago. What we offered then was simply a way for people to get from here to there. We still carry people from here to there. About 250,000 people a day, in fact. And historically, we have carried them more safely than any other form of public transportation. Greyhound is safe because we've planned it that way. Greyhound is actually 20,000 people who put into practice the theory that the safe way is the right way. That's the way we run our bus line. Greyhound's ability to program safety into all facets of its operations is unique among all forms of public transportation in the world. Because Greyhound works closely with the engineers and builders who design and manufacture its passenger-carrying vehicles. That familiar bit of Americana, the Greyhound bus. This is Joe Stieber, Greyhound's Vice President for Engineering.
Designing, planning, improving, that's where it has to start when your job is to build the safest possible bus. And of course, we also want to make it as free of air and noise pollution as technology allows. We've learned a lot about designing for passenger safety in the last 50 years. You could say we've practically written the book. We're concerned about vehicle handling characteristics, driver control systems, and the visibility of our buses to other highway users. Many federal and state regulations govern the way buses are built, but for the most part, we have developed and implemented safety features that have later become standards for the industry. For instance, we use safety laminated glass that's twice as thick as government standards. Our famous dual-level bus that seats passengers above collision impact level was developed way back in 1948. At the same time, we've come up with real innovations for passenger comfort. In fact, Greyhound introduced air suspension, air conditioning, and panoramic windows almost 25 years ago.
Buses for Greyhound lines are built by Motor Coach Industries, and they build more intercity buses than anyone else in North America. More than 500 buses a year, enough to supply our own needs and those of other intercity bus companies. The fact that our buses are built to such exacting safety standards explains, in part, why they're in such great demand by other bus lines. This is Richard Garinger, Assembly Plant Manager, Motor Coach Industries.
What you see here is the part of a bus you'll probably never see again, but it's the part that makes everything else work. That engine there, it puts out enough power to handle 2.5 times the weight of a bus. It's the same engine used to power 50-ton trucks. An air brake system designed to stop 20 tons safely and quickly. We also build in a number of backup systems just to be on the safe side. For example, if there should be a failure of the primary air brake system, the low air alarm automatically warns the driver.
When the undercarriage of a bus is completed, it is sent to our shell assembly plant. Here, the planning and designing for safety take shape in recognizable form. This is Ed Kemmons, foreman and expert on shell assembly.
I've been in this line of work all my adult life. I used to be with another company. Then MCI called me one day and said they wanted me to come up here. Now, I don't mean to brag. What I mean is this. We think all the men here are the best in the business, and we're out to make one heck of a good bus. That means the safest bus. Now, take that structural framing, for example. It's a little harder to work with stainless steel than with aluminum, but the company says stainless is stronger, so that's the way it gets done, strong and safe. That's the strongest roof ever made for a bus, and if anything happens to the topside, the passengers are going to be okay.
At this point, we turn our attention to the inside of the bus, the passenger and driver compartments, to create a comfortable, safe, human environment. That's Dick Glad, one of our quality control men.
The men here joke about me being a pain in the neck sometimes, making them do some work over again. Don't get me wrong now. I don't have much chance to catch them on anything. But I figure this is the time to find a loose anchor bolt on a seat or a bad electrical connection. When it comes to the millions of people riding our buses, we don't take any chances. So we stick to designs and systems that we know are right. They've been tested more than 50 years with billions of passenger miles.
Look at all the padding on seat backs. No chance to bump against anything too sharp or too hard. The ashtrays and passenger lights are recessed, so they're out of the way. And in the event of an accident, the seat will absorb impacts before that force can reach the passenger. Add fire retardant materials, extra thick safety laminated window glass. By the way, back in 1948, we started tinting the glass to make it easier on the eyes in sunlight. But it's also eliminated curtains and shades, which can get in someone's way during an emergency. Undercarriage, shell, passenger compartment, now complete. Built with as much durability and as many safety features as we know how. A powerful $68,000 vehicle. Listen to Rich Olsenowski, Greyhound engineer whose job is finding ways to make driving our bus easier and safer.
Sounds simple, doesn't it? Put in a few pedals, a steering wheel, and you're ready to go, right? Wrong. You see, Greyhound's got over 10,000 drivers. They're all skilled professionals, but like pros in any field, they have to have systems designed for the job at hand. And the job is driving more than 1 million miles a day. For one thing, we try to reduce the dozens of operations that might take a driver's hand off the wheel. We make them automatic, or we create faster, more simple operations. We provide instruments that give the driver vital information on how his engine and support systems are functioning. Heavy-duty wipers and washers to clean windows. We were the first in the business to have a washer. And notice how the wiper blades are dull to eliminate glare. The whole instrument panel is a dull black for the same reason. When a driver sits down here to work, he's got everything that technology can provide to help him and his vehicle perform at their peak.
Greyhound creates the safest possible bus. You've seen that. But we feel that the most important single element in the operation of that vehicle is the man who drives it. This is the person who has responsibility for safe, efficient movement of our passengers.
Greyhound employs over 10,000 drivers. They're all professionals, well paid, the best in the business, in fact, because we think their work is important, and they're all carefully screened before they're accepted for training. We get all the usual data on an application form, but we dig deeper. We want to be certain our drivers are able to accept responsibility, able to exercise mature judgment. And of course, this is the man who will actually be Greyhound to each passenger. So we look for men who like people and enjoy being helpful and courteous. Physical standards for Greyhound drivers are more rigid than those required by law for our industry. If a man passes the physical and is hired, we bring him back for checkups at least every 2 years, or more often if needed, and for as long as he drives for Greyhound.
Indicative of Greyhound's high-level commitment to safety is Robert Foreman, Vice President for Safety.
When an applicant is accepted, he becomes a student driver. He spends 4 to 6 weeks learning the Greyhound way of driving. That means professional defensive driving, the most thorough program in the industry. At the end of his classroom training, each student driver must pass examinations in safety concepts, vehicle orientation, accounting, and other Greyhound procedures. Only then do we go out on the road, a student driver with an experienced driver instructor. They spend several weeks driving the routes that the student driver will be assigned to drive and also further refine his driving skills. Detailed reports are submitted to the Safety Department to help analyze each student driver's progress. If the reports are favorable, the student driver is then considered qualified to begin his career as a Greyhound driver. Interest in Greyhound's drivers and their driving habits doesn't end here. In fact, it never ends. We have over 20 safety superintendents in the field across the U.S. They provide supervision to help our drivers adhere to the highest standards of professional safe driving. Evidence of the success of our field safety effort is in our Safe Driving Recognition Program, honoring drivers for safe driving performance. 30, 35, and more years without preventable accidents is not uncommon.
Drivers are periodically called in for refresher training, and the vehicle was also called in to be refreshed. There are 66 maintenance centers in the United States offering a complete preventive maintenance program, ranging from the usual all-round checkup and cleaning to replacement of an entire engine. You see, Greyhound prefers to replace a part before it malfunctions, before it creates a hazard. And since our experience tells us the safe operational lifetime of all parts, we simply replace them before problems occur. Again, Bob Foreman, Vice President for Safety.
Safety isn't a new idea at Greyhound. Management's commitment to safety began way back in 1928 when the Safety Department was set up, almost 10 years before the Interstate Commerce Commission safety regulations were first published. So you see, safety is a basic part of our operating policy. It has to be. We carry too valuable a cargo to get by less than the safest buses, the safest drivers, and the finest support personnel. To help ensure safer, more comfortable passenger service in the future, we are continuing to invest millions of dollars in research and development. For an effective anti-wheel lock device, anti-slip differentials, energy-absorbing sealing liners, turbine engines for improved environmental control, improved driver control systems, improved aerodynamic designs, innovative passenger packaging, improved driver training programs. These projects are undertaken for one reason only: to provide Greyhound's passengers with the safest possible ride.